You're watching FanTeam Daily, a podcast by WhoScored.com. Hello everyone, welcome back to FanTeam Daily, the fantasy football show that could help you win real money with your football knowledge. On FanTeam Daily, we'll be looking at the Premier League Fantasy Football Tournament, which has a minimum guaranteed prize pool of £1 million and a guaranteed first place prize of £200,000. We're days away now from the new season. I cannot contain my excitement. The return of Premier League football is upon us. Feels like the Euro 2020 final, but hopefully with better results. Let me introduce my panel to you. Lynn, how are you?
I am so good and so excited. I've gone to Tinkertown today. I'm all sweaty. I'm ready. Let's rock and roll.
Gone to Tinkertown. Excellent. Do you feel ready for the new season? Do you feel like you've had there's been quite a lot of build up to this season. The Euros and stuff, had a bit of a rest after that, but we're days away now. So you feeling good?
I am so ready. I've been ready since the last day of last season.
Wow.
Bring it.
That's commitment. Ben, how you doing? Injury guru, how you feeling?
All good, my man. Cannot wait for the first game to kick off. Really, really looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So what is FanTeam Daily? What are we going to be talking about? Well, FanTeam have a Premier League fantasy football game. If you didn't already know, you should do. It's episode 5, so you should know that by now. Guaranteed prize pool is £1 million. It's £20 to enter, and you can enter with multiple teams, which is great if you're trying to go big to secure that big cash prize. The game is very similar to FPL, if you play that already. There's not too much to explain in terms of different rules and scoring, but we will do that throughout the show. Lynn, what's happening today?
So this is the final episode of our 5-part series. We are following on from essential premiums, budgets and cheap options, Who Scored Squad, formation and strategy, all of which are available on Who Scored YouTube channel. In today's show, we'll be unveiling our teams as we aim to win part of the £1 million prize pool on offer from the good folk at FanTeam. Later in the show, we will also be giving one free entry to the game via trivia question, so stay tuned for that. So, shall we get to it?
Let's get to it. My favourite parts of these FanTeam series is looking at your teams and tearing them apart and then offering my own team up for the same kind of treatment. Lynn, we're going to start with you. We're going to start with your team first. So your team is on the screen. I'll just read out the players that you've got. You've got Sanchez in goal. You've got Rob Holding. You've got Tomiskas. You've got Soufal, Gundogan, Son, Salah, Souček, Fernandes, Antonio and Watkins. And on your bench, you've put quite a bit of money there. You've got Woodman, but then you've got Cancelo and Doherty, and then Obafemi. So let's start with your defence. I mean, your defence has got to be the big talking point here. I mean, you've got Rob Holding, you've got Tomiskas, you've got your premium defender on your bench in Cancelo, and you've got Doherty there, who's obviously you're thinking is one for the future. Soufal seems pretty sensible. Talk to me about Holding and Tomiskas. Why have you gone for those two?
Tomiskas is just too good value to pass up. Like, I want to get in there. I want Liverpool defense for 4.0 million. Like, it's too good to be true. Even if it only lasts a couple of game weeks, I'm going all in. Let's go there. And Holding, he is holding for White. I just want him to get in and get some game time. And yeah, so when I wild card, he will probably turn into Ben White.
Is he in there just for that joke?
No, I just thought of it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand why he's holding for Ben White. Surely you just go for Ben White, right? He's going to start and play. Why do you need to have a placeholder for him?
Because I'm not still entirely sure, because he swapped teams. Yeah, he's the best option, I would say. But still, I've just got this nagging little doubt, and I want to go for Holding first. Okay,
so you're playing it really safe in the sense that new player, new team. You're not sure how they're going to set up, so you want. I mean, I'm sure he's going to slot straight. He's been playing most of pre-season for them and doing pretty well. It's an interesting defense. I mean, the bigger mission here is no Trent, and I'm sure there's going to be people in the comments saying where the hell is Trent? But you've gone for Tomiskas over him. Are you thinking that in a few weeks you're going to make the upgrade up to Trent, or?
Exactly. I will get Trent on my wild card, probably game week 7 or 8 thereabout. And then I will get Trent and see who else is in form and who's ready.
Yep.
But yeah, this is a team for the first 7 or 8 game weeks.
Yep. So Cancelo's there. He's obviously going to come in for the Norwich game. Spurs have got a decent run after this. Ben, what do you think about this team? What do you think? Well, not the team. Sorry, just the defence for now.
You may want to reconsider Rob Holding for White. He missed the game against Tottenham on Sunday. He wasn't fit. So he's actually carrying a little bit of an injury there. So Mikel Arteta was a little bit vague in terms of providing an update. But as it currently stands at the time of recording, Rob Holding could be out of game week 1 against Brentford anyway. So, I'm with you, as I think, regardless, Ben White starts for Arsenal.
He could be holding you back, Lynn. See what I did?
I'm so glad you're my friend now, Ben, because this is the information I need.
Yeah, well, happy to help, Lynn. Happy to help. A fellow FanTeam pundit.
And Rob
Okay,
Holding
so Ben
starting.
White it is.
Rob Holding starts next game, scores a header. Lynn never talks to Ben again. Edit, yeah. We could cut that if that happens. Yeah, I've got Ben White, I think, in most of my drafts. Maybe not the one I'm showing today, but I do really like him. Okay, so moving into midfield then, you've got, it's a solid midfield. I mean, you've got Souček there, who we talked about in the last episode. He's going to clean up those 90-minute points, we think. He's better without Lingard as well, so we've got to think he's going to do quite well. Got Fernandes there. Don't think we need to say too much about him. Salah's there as well. And then you've gone for Son, straight in, and Gundogan as well. Let's get your thoughts on Gundogan then. Do you think he's a safe starter with all the options that you've got?
Yeah, like I said, I'm going for the first 7 or 8 game weeks, and I think he will definitely start the first 4, probably more. He might not be as attacking later in the games, but I think he will still be playing most of them.
What do you think his role is going to be in the side? Because Grealish has been brought in now, and we think he's going to be playing at the number 8 role, which is maybe the kind of role that we've seen Gundogan play. So it could mean Gundogan drops a bit deeper. It could mean Gundogan plays in a false 9. Maybe Grealish starts on the left, like he did in the Community Shield. So there's a few kind of question marks about. I think you're right. I think Gundogan is definitely going to play. But is there some concern that with Grealish there, he might end up in this kind of more withdrawn role?
But we've seen it. Even if he plays more defensively, he's further back, he will take runs at goal and score goals. We've seen this. This was facts last season. So it does really worry me that he will be playing further back. He will still get goals. He will still get assists. And more than anything, he will get his 90 minutes.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a nice combination between Gundogan and Grealish. I think they're going to complement each other quite well, because Gundogan's timing and runs into the box is, well, it's similar to Souček, who's also in your team. Like it's something that, I mean, Grealish has that ability, I think, but Gundogan, I mean, last season just absolutely nailed that. He should be on some set pieces as well with De Bruyne out. So yeah, he's someone that I really like. Ben, what do you reckon about Gundogan? What City players are you kind of looking at? Cancelo and Gundogan, Lynn's got. Do you like those picks?
I really like Cancelo. But the concern, as with always, with City is rotation, and I just don't see Cancelo's being nailed down. For me, if I was going to look for somebody in that back line, it would probably be Ruben Diaz. I would go with the safe option. With very, very boring. With Gundogan, his season really sort of came alight last year when Kevin De Bruyne picked up that injury. There were concerns how City would cope without him, and Gundogan pushed on, and he was the man of the moment. And of course, we're going to be going into the new campaign with, again, Kevin De Bruyne carrying that ankle injury that he picked up at the Euros. Now, as it stands, he's just met with Dr. Ramon Cugat in Barcelona, renowned knee specialist and Pep's, lieutenant when it comes to injuries. Now, so there are no guarantees on when De Bruyne will be back. He is doing some light training on the pitches, but it could be after the international break. I certainly think he's going to be out for the first 2 game weeks. So for those first couple of games, I do really like Gundogan. The worries for me would be, if De Bruyne is back, and I would see maybe Gundogan dropping back in as maybe a 4-2-3-1 alongside maybe Rodri, and maybe the odd time he could be putting Fernandinho in there. He's just got so much strength and depth within that squad. I don't see Gundogan nailed for 90 minutes, when everybody's fit. That is my only concern.
I guess that's when you're trying to prioritise players who play 90 minutes, trying to pick a City player who's going to play 90 minutes week in, week out, who isn't a defender, is such a tough job. I actually think Gundogan is maybe one of the strongest players to start the season with. I think given the fact that his versatility is so much in that he can play higher up the pitch in that kind of 8 role. He can play withdrawn, more defensive. He can play in the false 9, where there isn't a clear favourite for who's going to start up front for them. I think we could see him sort of playing across all of those different positions, and particularly in the first few weeks when the whole squad is fully fit and ready to go. I'm not sure. It could be Gundogan that misses out with Grealish playing there. But I think at the start of the season, I actually really like him. Son, Lynn, what do you think about Son? What do you think about Son with Kane if he stays? And what do you think about Son without Kane if he goes off to City?
I prefer Son without Kane.
Yep.
Definitely. Because he does have a better output. He's more attacking, takes more responsibility. But I will also take Son with Kane. Also a good option. In general, he was only subbed when it was knock related, I think, or after the 90th minute. He was never subbed before that. And when he was subbed, it was only to bring in a defender just to secure the scoreline.
Yep.
So he feels like a super safe pick. He's so attacking. He's got decent fixtures. With or without Kane, he is going to score. He's going to get those points for me and my team.
Yep. I mean, Man City in the Community Shield were not impressive at all. I know they put out a team which I said in the last episode, I think Pep just kind of using it a bit of a training exercise and just wanted to, get some players out there, but they weren't cohesive at all. They looked like a bunch of guys who never played together. And I think actually playing City in the first week of the season could suit Spurs because they've had a fairly strong pre-season. Some particularly has been on a good scoring run. I think, if you're ever going to want to play City, you want to give yourself as much of an advantage as possible. And City having all these injuries and players coming back late might give Spurs the opportunity to put a bit of a stamp down under Nuno. So I like Son. And I think, like you say, I think he could get something against City at home. The fans are going to be back. And then he goes on a run of great games. Watford at home. I think he's playing Palace. Yeah, I think he could be even a captaincy option in those. So, yeah, really like him. And then up front, you've gone very boring, very template. It's hard to argue about either of them. It's interesting with Watkins there because I kind of have gone that way as well. I did toy with Danny Ings, but I'm wondering if you're going to say the same thing. But in the end, it was the 90 minutes thing that got me towards Watkins. Is that the same for you?
Yeah, same for me. Also,
Yep.
He has been playing with this team for a long time. He knows the players and know him. He will be on the pitch and he will hopefully link up well with Danny Ings. I see Danny Ings as the hero and Watkins as his sidekick. So Batman and Robin. And I don't mind going for Robin when he's playing 90 minutes.
And you're backing Robin. I mean, not many do, but in this case, I agree. I think in FPL, Ings to me is the one. I think, if he gets subbed off at 70, 75 minutes, it's not that big a deal. But I think when you're targeting those 90-minute points, and I mean, the only game Watkins missed last season was when he was banned. So he is he's one of the few forwards I think that is going to play kind of every minute. The other one I think is probably Tony for Brentford. I really like him as a 90-minute option. He's going to take loads of shots. He's 6 million. I think if he gets 10 goals this season, which I know Ben is a bit sceptical about, I think he could be great value though. Ben, the front line, Antonio Watkins, hard to argue with him, right?
I mean, the only concern with Watkins, and again, is he fit? Limped off on Sunday, Aston Villa's friendly, it looked like a knee problem, a little bit discomfort in there. So hopefully that's just precautionary with it being the last pre-season fixture. But there are absolutely no guarantees with that. And Dean Smith went with a 4-4-2 and he played Ings and Watkins up there. And Watkins looked a little bit lost. I think certainly during the early part of the game, he's used to playing that single, that lone furrow up front. And a couple of occasions he could have played Ings in and he made the wrong decision and he should have passed and he didn't. I think that partnership will grow. There's a lot more fluidity in that Aston Villa formation. We're not going to have to stick with that rigid, 4-2-3-1 anymore. Dean Smith can change things up a little bit. So it may be that he could go with a 4-3-3 with Ings centering and Watkins out wide. That might be a concern somewhere down the line. So, we might be looking at the same attacking output maybe from Watkins. But certainly, if he was anything like last season, he was really unfortunate. I hate to guess how many times he actually hit the woodwork. And he still had a great campaign in his first step up. From the second tier, and unfortunate maybe not to be involved in that England setup at the Euros.
Absolutely. I mean, 14 goals, 9 assists for a player who's predominantly played in the Championship was an unbelievable return. I think expectations are maybe even higher for him this season in terms of what he can get. You mentioned he was unlucky, hit the post a lot. They've brought a lot of creative attacking talent into the side. Bailey's come in, Buendia's come in. I do wonder if Ings is there to kind of take on more of the goal scoring form, and it's going to let Watkins kind of, be the man who runs around a bit more. And I do think for Watkins to get close to 14 goals, 9 assists again will be a big ask for him, especially with Danny Ings there. But I do like the 90 minutes, and that is what is swaying me at the moment towards Watkins. Even if he plays on the left, getting those extra points for playing the whole game, it works out to be a lot at the end of the season. It's something that Josh, who won FanTeam last season, that's his main priority: getting the players, getting the forwards and the midfielders who play 90 minutes, and that is Watkins, I would say. Yep, I like it, Lynn. It's a good side. Let's come on to Ben's team. Ben's team is absolutely nuts. It is absolutely nuts. I mean, you've bigged yourself up as differential Dinnery. I looked at this team and I don't even know how to describe what I thought when I saw it. I mean, we've got so much to talk about here. I mean, where do I? I mean, we have to start. We're going to start in goal, right? Edison's in goal. So you've got premium in the goalkeeper. Now, last episode, I asked you, how much do you invest in your defence? And you were like, yeah, nothing, like as little as possible. You've gone for the most expensive goalkeeper in the game.
Look, I want to be the guy that owns and captains Edison when he scores a penalty in the Premier League.
And that's all it is it?
After that, he's gone. Edison's done me well in the past. You've got to have a part of City somewhere in your team, and Edison is guaranteed. If he's fit, he starts. I'm looking at that defence, and I mentioned Ruben Diaz earlier. He's probably the next best, but for me, Edison. I expect it. I'm going to have it on record. He will score this season, and he will get 1 assist. There you go, a goal and assist this season, guaranteed. Mark my word, soundbite it, do whatever you want. Call me out at the end of the campaign. I'm telling you. It's going to happen.
Everyone make a note of that. High scoring goalkeeper in FanTeam last season. Edison even beat the likes of Martinez, for example, who was absolutely outstanding, but obviously you pay a lot for him. Josh as well, I mentioned him again. He was the hero for Josh. Josh only won FanTeam last season because of Edison. Got him in a few weeks before the end of the season, and he saved that penalty, didn't he? And basically won him the £200,000. So yeah, you talk about a love-in for a player. Josh has definitely got that. Right, now, defence, Ben.
Can I the caveat, right? Before I know what you're going to say.
Yeah. Right.
The team is for the season. It's not just for one game week. Right. Carry on.
Okay. Well, my question is, firstly, you said you were a 3-4-3 or a 3-5-1 manager. 3-5-1, yeah. That's not even a thing, but you know what I mean. And you got 5 at the back here. That's my first thought. My second thought here is that you've got Amity and Bertrand, who are both players who I don't even think are probably first choice for Leicester. You've got no bench of note because you've got Bissouma, Gilmore and Benteke, who I'm not even going to give any credibility for. I mean, what is this? What's going on?
Hey, look, if you're jealous, just come out and say it.
Jealous isn't the word that I'm looking for. Lynn, what do you think? Help me out here. I mean, when you saw this back line, what were your first thoughts?
See you later,
Were you
Lynn.
drunk when you made this decision?
Yeah.
What?
How many beers in?
You know what it is? I really like this team. We've got a Marty. He's going to be in there for at least 3 weeks, isn't he? Johnny Evans, plantar fasciitis, out until the end of August minimum. Wesley Fofana out for the rest of the year. We'll assume that Brendan Rodgers isn't going to bring somebody in between now and
do you not think he will? I think he almost certainly will.
If between now and game week 1, it would be a big ask to get somebody in and then throw him straight in that starting 11, especially the way Marty played, at Wembley at the weekend. So I think he starts in game week 1. If I can get a couple of game weeks out of a Marty, I'm happy with that. Trent, obviously, standard.
Yeah, Trent isn't your problem, Ben. We're not arguing with Trent.
I will be.
Why so many defenders?
Why so many defenders?
Man, nobody said the formation was locked in. This will probably go. This may go to a 4-3-3. Or yeah,
how is this going to go to a 4-3-3?
Because Benteke is coming in.
Oh my god!
and I'll probably ditch Bertrand.
Right. So you're going to go to a 4-3-3 with Benteke up front, Bertrand benched.
I leave all my decisions until I have all the information to hand. So we've got press conferences throughout Thursday and Friday. And I'll listen to what Brendan Rodgers has to say. And then I'll make my decisions with regards to the formation. But in terms of the personnel, we're not a million miles away. I could even bring Woodman in for Edison game week 1. That's something that I'm giving serious consideration to as well.
Yeah, I mean, you could. I don't know why you would, but you could.
I think Newcastle have got a better chance of keeping a clean sheet at home to West Ham, maybe than City have away at Tottenham, given the fact that we've already mentioned Tottenham had a really strong pre-season and we don't know 100% who's going to be back in that City lineup.
I love that you're going to take out arguably your best defender in this back six and replace him with the Newcastle third choice goalkeeper.
Do you know what? Maybe it's even just for the crack. I might even captain Woodman.
Oh, now differential
Doesn't
Dinnery is talking.
Dubravka have a late fitness test? So couldn't that backfire?
Dubravka is nowhere near.
Okay. There you go. I read somewhere that he was going to have a late fitness test.
Carl Darlow is back on the training pitches, but only a light training. Dubravka is not expected back until after the international break, unless I've missed something.
But I hope you have, Ben.
Darlow must be close.
Darlow's back. He's back on the training pitches, so he hasn't been involved with the group so far. Maybe when this video goes out, he may be with the group. So it's a little bit different. He's suffering from COVID, so it's not like he's an outfield player. Obviously, goalies are different, but I'm fairly confident Woodman. Did
he have it badly, or was he just kind of?
No, he was hospitalised.
Wow. Okay.
So that was it. It was mainly through dehydration, as opposed to really affecting his respiratory system. But he still had it bad enough. He's back on the training pitches, but he hasn't been allowed to take part in full sessions yet. So, hence the reason why there's those question marks.
Yep, excellent. Okay, so. I'm not moving off your defence yet because this is a big talking point. Bertrand, I think out of this defence, Maguire, Amity, Trent, White, I can get behind those. I think you can make a case. I cannot understand the logic of Bertrand. But why is Bertrand there?
4.5. Time will tell, my friend. Look,
but he won't play. He's got Ricardo Pereira.
Absolute garbage. He's never been
absolute garbage. Ricardo Pereira.
Pereira hasn't been the same since he came back from his ACL. And look, even if he doesn't, like I say, he's going to be the likelihood is he'll be on the bench anyway.
Lynn, I think the £200,000 is safe for us.
Also, I thought Castagnier was close to a return as well.
Yes, he is available. He should be available. He is training and he's been fitted with a protective face mask. So he should be in and around. But of course, he hasn't got any minutes under his belt whatsoever since the Euros. So to throw him straight back in would be a little bit of a gamble from Rodgers.
And Ben has got Benteke on his bench, Lynn. So it'd be fine. Yeah. Okay, right. I'm going to be nice to you now, Ben. I'm going to be nice because
look, it's easy to throw stones, man. Look,
we're going to come back to my team in a minute.
Come back at the end of the season and we'll look and see where we are. And then I'm quite glad you hold my hands up. I did it my way, I did it my way.
I was going to say, you're going to burst into Frank Sinatra. When Bertrand is top scoring defender in the game next season, I would
love it. I would love it if I beat you.
I'm sure you will. Well, I mean, the other defender, Maguire's there. I like the Maguire pick. I think obviously Shaw's a little bit more money. He's up to 6. So I think Maguire comes into it. If they were the same price, it's a no-brainer to go for Shaw. But I like Maguire. I think he's the same price as Wan-Bissaka, for example, and more goal threat. I like Ben White. I think Ben White at 4.5 is a great pick for Arsenal. I'm expecting them to be better this season. They've got Europe to worry about.
You talked about better second half of last season. I think there was only 4 teams better defensively than Arsenal. So
yeah, absolutely. They showed signs that they're improving, and they've signed, I think, a player who fits absolutely perfectly to the system, and that's why they paid so much money for him, because Brian didn't want to sell him, and 50 million. He's not worth 50 million, but he's a player who, a little bit like Lukaku, who we're going to talk about in a bit. He's exactly what they needed. So when you find someone who's exactly what you need, you have to pay a premium price for them. Midfield. So midfield, you've got Salah and Fernandez. We've talked about them endlessly on these different things. You've gone for Maddison at 7, which is interesting. He was quite deep, I thought, in the Community Shield. I thought Barnes was the main standout player, but obviously you're the injury man, and I'm guessing there's a few concerns over his ability to see out games in that. So is Maddison there because you think he's going to play more minutes?
I'm a big fan. Absolutely love him.
Me too.
Again, he's had his injury problems, and maybe that sort of tempered a lot of people's enthusiasm, around selecting him. They go on recent history, and maybe, he hasn't been the player he was. Didn't make the England squad off the back of those. But I think, with a good pre-season under his belt, he can do a really big job for Leicester. If he's still there, there's heavily linked to Arsenal, in which case, I probably like him as much, if not even more.
Lynn, thoughts on Maddison? Don't break my heart now. You've got to tell me how much you like him.
I do love Maddison. I think he's a good pick, but he's not the most fun pick.
No, he's not. I mean, there was a period last season where he did an interview. He just scored a goal, and they interviewed him, and they said, talk us about it. He was like, I want to score more goals. I've been working with my coaches. We've identified targets. They want me further up the pitch, making things happen. And I heard that interview, and it was really encouraging. I thought, this is a guy who wants to score more goals. That's exactly what you want for FPL or for any kind of fantasy game. And then he got injured, and then he came back, and it took him a while to kind of get back into the rhythm. And I do wonder if he's still going to have that target in his mind, right? I think he is a player that wants to be on the score sheet more and influence games perhaps more than he does from that kind of more attacking area. I just saw in that Community Shield, and maybe it's City, maybe it's a hard game to judge him on, and in some pre-season games as well, you just see a corner comes in from the opposing team and the Leicester team breaks, apart from Maddison. And Maddison is quite happy just to trot from his own penalty area, sort of into the kind of the centre of the pitch. And it's that just kind of puts me off him a little bit. I think he just does that a little bit too much.
He's got other players around him to do the hard work, man. Look,
yeah.
He's a class act, Maddison. So
absolute class act. The way he reads the game, his passing ability. I mean, his shooting ability is absolutely brilliant from outside the box. I just want to see him more in attacking areas. I just want to see him, not just scoring from outside the area. I want to see him having more touches in the penalty area, having more shots on target from inside the box. They're the kind of things that I want to see. And for me, Barnes is the one who excites me a little bit more, I think, going into the season. But I love Maddison. I really do think he's a class player. Right, up front then, Ben. Up front, you have gone.
You can't have anything to say about this, surely.
Well, it's just mind blowing. Again, it's not the normal Antonio, Watkins, Ings, Wilson, all these boring guys. You stuck Lukaku straight in. He hasn't even signed for them yet.
Bang, gone. Good night. I told you. He's the guy that will transcend fixtures. Watched him in the Euros. Looked fit, looked sharp. Bully defenders. He's got a point to prove. He left under a little bit of a cloud. Reputation tarnished a little bit. That there's the Harry's doubters. I think he comes back into this league, and I think he tears it up.
Yep, Lynn, you're a bit more sceptical, right? You're waiting a bit to see how he performs.
Yeah, like with all new players, even if he's played in Premier League before, we don't know who will he link up with, what's going to work, what's not going to work, what will the chemistry be like. I want to see a bit more, especially with the fixtures he's got. Like if he can prove himself in those fixtures, he will be in my team for the rest of the season. But he will not be starting in my team this season.
Very different opinions of Lukaku. I think I'm veering more to the side of Lynn on this one. I'm happy to wait and see. Ben shaking his head. I'm not sure he's going to start game week 1. I don't really know why. I mean, they're a Champions League winning side without him. Surely they can beat Palace without him and give him a bit of chance to get up to speed and get familiar with the tactics and that kind of thing. And then the run is awful for Chelsea. Couldn't be worse. I'm happy to wait, but Ben, obviously you think he's just going to come in and transcend fixtures. Is a lovely quote, by the way.
I mean, I agree. He's absolutely not by any means nailed as a starter. I have literally no idea of what his pre-season has been like across in Milan. And we know Tuchel will have his players well drilled and he'll want to be on. But you know what? I'm happy to even stick him in. And even if he comes on 20, 25 minutes from the bench, he'll be in there from the start. No worries.
I like it. And the other one there is Jimenez. So you've mentioned Jimenez before. My big worry, and Lynn, I think it's the same thing. Our worry is just how, well, everyone's worry is what he's going to be like after the horrible injury he suffered last season. I think it's just good for you to repeat what you said on one of the previous episodes, right? Your feeling is, and from what you've read and from what you've noted, that the physios and the medics and the medical team are confident he's ready to go straight back into the action, right? People in and around the club have complimented Jimenez on his mental strength, on how focused he's been on getting fit. He's actually been held back from what they were saying. He's been itching to be involved. But from a medical standpoint, they wanted to make sure that he went through the protocol, they ticked off each box, each stage, and he completed. We heard people like Don Goodman, who himself suffered a fractured skull. I think he's ex-Wolves, and he talked about this psychological barrier to his game. Jimenez isn't suffering any of that. He's been getting on it. And Bruno Lage, or Lager, however you want to put it, it's going to be Lager for the fans during the season. He said he's ready, he's going to be out, and he's pivotal to the play, the way they play. And Wolves are going to be a lot more attacking than they were last season under Nuno, who adopted that more conservative style of play. And to cap it off, I'm expecting a really big bounce back campaign from Adama Traore. And the two of them, they've got a great partnership, a great understanding. So I'm expecting them to flourish. Yes, it's a little bit of a gamble, but it's one I'm prepared to take. So there you go, everyone. He billed himself as differential Dinnery. He has absolutely delivered and smashed it out of the park with his team. I was speechless when I saw this team. I'm not going to lie.
Do you know what? I looked at this team and thought, actually, I'm a little bit too template with this.
Why is Salah in there? God, got to take him out.
Historically, I wouldn't have touched Fernandes, Salah, or Trent. So, the worm has turned.
There's still time.
90 degrees.
There's still time differential Dinnery to take those guys out. Be true to yourself. Okay, so my team. You're not going to like my team, Ben. My team is pretty much full on template. I've got Sanchez in goal. I've got Trent. I've got Ruben Diaz, and I've got Soufal. I've got Barnes, Salah, Mason Mount, and Fernandes, Antonio Watkins, and Tony. And then, like you, I've got Amity. I've got Ben White, and I've got Gilmore. Lynn, hit me. What do you think?
Should we start with your defense then?
Start with my defense. Yeah.
Why are you playing Diaz when you've got Amarte playing Wolves on the bench? Or White playing Brentford on the bench?
Excellent question. White, because I've got Tony. So there's no point in having a clash game week one. Either back Tony to score in that or I don't. And I think a promoted team in the first few weeks, they do okay. They've got that buzz from coming up. Top teams like Arsenal and top teams. Can we call them a top team? Yeah, we'll call them a top team. Sometimes take a little bit of a while to gel and like you said earlier, but Ben White's coming into the side. He hasn't been with them for that long. I wonder if the party's not there, for example. I wonder if it's going to take a little bit of time for that system to really work. So I think Brentford could get at them. Diaz over Amity is interesting. I mean, I'm still not entirely sure about Amity's wherever he's going to play. I mean, he played really well in the Community Shield. I just think a signing has got to be imminent for Brendan Rodgers. He's already said he wants to sign someone. It's just whether he signs a backup to Amity or whether they spend, fairly sizable amounts of money, 30 million, 40 million to buy a kind of a top centre-back who's then probably going to end up being the fourth choice when they've got a fully fit squad. So Diaz is in there for the moment just because of that. I think if they don't sign anyone by Friday, I think it will be Amity that comes in for Diaz, and I'll keep Diaz for the Norwich game.
But Diaz is such a boring pick.
He is.
Boring.
He really is.
You could just go for it, Ederson, and then stake like Weltman or someone fun.
Yeah, I know. He really is. I mean, Chilwell is the one that I like. I think he's the same price. I like the wing-back system that he's got, so it could end up being Diaz to Chilwell. I do like Cancelo as well, but I'm just a bit concerned that Cancelo hasn't been very good for quite a while now. He sort of his form sort of went off a bit towards the end of last season. He had a pretty poor Euros again. He didn't play that well in the Community Shield. I just wonder, and Walker was in team of the tournament for the Euros, and when Cancelo plays on the left, he doesn't do as well. So if I want to tap into the Man City defence, I think it has to be Diaz, but I could be more fun and go for Chilwell, which I probably will.
But you've also got Ederson then if you just want to get the clean sheet.
Yeah, but
there's no bonus points here.
I'm not spending that much money on a goalkeeper. Not like Ben.
So it's just like the money, the goalkeeper position. Like I don't want to spend that much money because you could have the same amount of money, could have Ederson and go for a 4.5 defender,
like Veltman,
a Brighton
for example.
defender.
True, but I don't want to be using transfers on goalkeepers. So if I need to take money out of my defence, I can do that. I can downgrade Diaz to a Veltman or someone like that. When you start making goalkeeper transfers, it just feels a bit unnecessary. So I want to get a goalkeeper I'm just going to keep for the season. And I think Sanchez falls into that bracket because I think Brighton are going to improve. I think the XG last season was we conceded too many goals compared to the XG that we had. So I just want to leave Sanchez in and forget about him. Whereas Diaz might be someone who I could think about taking in and out a bit more. Ben, midfield? Barnes, Salah, Mount, Fernandes?
It's the worst midfield I've ever seen in my life. I cannot, it's hard to argue. I think the only concern, and I don't think it is a massive issue, would be that competition in that Chelsea midfield. You would assume that Mount is one of those offensive players that he's going to start eventually. But then you've got the likes of Havertz, you've got Werner, you've got Ziyech, you've got Pulisic. Yes, you expect him to play and get 90 minutes.
Hudson-Odoi as well. He's looking around. Crazy talent.
So, there's a lot of competition in there, and we know how Tuchel likes to rotate as well. And we're not talking about 1 and 2 changes. He was averaging over 5.5 changes per game, I think, over a 9 or 10 week period during the latter part of last season, which included Mount, I think, on at least one occasion being taken out of that starting 11. So that would be the only worry. But, with Lukaku in that Chelsea team, I do really like him because I think he's a player that could benefit. I'm with you on Barnes, on Bruno and Salah. And Barnes, exciting prospect, coming off the back of a knee injury, not long being in training. If he can, get to his pre-injury levels, I do like Leicester. At the moment, I think they've got some momentum. That confidence will carry through. And, attacking wise, I do like Leicester. So, as much as I would love to absolutely slam your team, I can't really.
It's a pretty safe team, right? It's with FanTeam, like we've talked about. I've got other teams. I've got ones that are a little bit more exciting than this, but I wanted to have one which was like a kind of base team. We talked about in the last episode the different strategies we've got, and FanTeam allows you to have different strategies and experiment with different teams and things like that. And I think, Ben, you probably, if that's your safe team that you've presented, then I'd hate to see your differential.
If we all went safe, this would be a boring podcast.
Exactly.
And look, I'm open to everybody commenting in the box to really give your honest opinions on what you think of my team. Yeah, because I look at that team and hand on heart, right? I look at that and I went, you know what? That is a good team.
They're going to love this on the podcast.
I thought Az is going to absolutely love this.
Yeah, he's going to have no criticism at all. Just to touch on Barnes and Mount, I think Barnes is a bit of a risk. I think like we've talked about, the 90-minute points is massive. And I think particularly in the first, I'd say probably, well, Ben, you probably have a better idea than me, but I'd say his minutes will be managed a fair amount, particularly at the start of the season. Iheanacho came off the bench, for example, in the Community Shield. He's not going to be a player that wants to sit around. And I think Barnes could be a kind of a 65, 70-minute man just while they properly get him up to speed after the injury that he's had. So he's a little bit of a gamble. Mount, to me, Mount played the most minutes of all of Chelsea's kind of non-defensive players last season, played more than Jorginho, Kante, only slightly more than Werner. Werner got 2,500 minutes, Mount got 2,800. But the thing with Mount, and like I've said before, is the chances he created for teammates last season was third best in the league, second to only Kane and Fernandes. And now they've got a striker that can finish as well as Lukaku. I think this could be a really, really big season for Mount. And he's got to impress, because he was not impressive in the Euros at all, was he, Ben?
No, but it's a completely different stage. Moving from how many times have we seen it before? Players who do well domestically and then making that step up. Not only a different class of opposition, but different pressures with the national team. But Mount is loved at his club. He was under Lampard. There were rumours and murmurings of how he would settle under Tuchel, but he's come under his wing and he really flourished. And he's come on leaps and bounds in the last maybe 12 to 18 months. So I really do like him.
And Lynn, I'll come to you for the final one. I mean, we won't talk too much about Antonio and Watkins. We've both got them. We're both agreed. They're both great picks, and they're going to win us. Well, they're going to win me 200,000 and you a bit less, but you're still right. You can still win a fairly substantial amount of money. I'll just get the main prize. What do you think about Tony? Because you haven't got Tony on your side. Neither of you have. He's 6 million. I mean, he's like I said, he's 0.5 cheaper than I think he probably should be. I think he's a player who's going to play 90 minutes. He's going to take loads of shots on target. I think Brentford are going to have the wind in their sails at the start of the season. Is he someone that you're worried about? His ownership's going to be high.
Yeah, I'm definitely worried about him because he does seem to take a lot of shots on target. Seems very attacking. But he goes under my rule. I should stay away because he is new to Premier League. I am not convinced at all that he will actually be able to score here like he did in the Championship. He will have to prove himself before I get him in. I've definitely got my eyes on him, and he could be incredible value. But so could Pukki. Like a couple of seasons ago, he was amazing, and no one's got him in their team.
No, the fixtures are just so bad for Norwich. I think that's the thing. I mean, I'd say Norwich and Chelsea. That the fixture is absolutely awful. I mean, Norwich are more than likely going to have no points after about 5 games unless they can get something really sort of impressive. I mean, starting the season against Liverpool isn't the best way to start a season, and especially because Norwich have got that history against Liverpool as well, which they always get thrashed. And I remember a couple of seasons ago though when they were at Anfield and Pukki did well. Did he get 2 goals? Maybe he got 2 goals at Anfield. And played really well, but ultimately they lost, conceded too many goals, and I think that's going to be the story of Norwich's season again. They've got injuries that you talked about, Ben. Yeah, I really do fear for Norwich. It's an awful run for them at the start, but having sold Buendia as well, who's going to feed Pukki? We saw when they came up last time that they struggled when Buendia was out of the team to get service to him, and yeah, I think unfortunately Norwich are going to be back down again with Watford, I'm afraid.
Then if you go back to Tony, then he was at Newcastle before, wasn't he?
He was sold by Benitez. Didn't make the cut.
He didn't really break through in the Premier League then. So what's the big difference now? Like, I'm not convinced. Convince me to get him. Convince me.
Well, the big difference is he's gone down to the Championship and he's scored 30 goals, which is...
Yeah, but that was in the Championship, so...
Well, what else can you say? He's playing for a promoted team who've just come up, and he got 30 goals. I mean, he can't have done any more than that. I mean, not being given the chance at Newcastle is... Well, Ben, you can shed some light on it. Why do you think Tony wasn't given the chance at Newcastle?
It was a difficult one. Went out on loan a couple of times, and I don't know, for whatever reason, and you never get a true picture of what happens behind the scenes on the training pitches. He was obviously a little bit younger than he was. That may have had something to do with it. And, he wasn't a Benitez signing, so he wasn't his man. And different managers see different attributes. They have different systems. So, and maybe Tony wasn't Benitez, so Tony wasn't going to be part of his future plans, and therefore decided to get rid of him. But it's hard to argue with his record. I think League One and Championship, I think it's around about 70 goal involvements in 77 games. But for me, coming into the Premier League, if you're going to own Tony, the early weeks are when to do it. When they're coming up on that wave of enthusiasm, with the confidence, when everything's new and fresh and supporters are behind them, that's the time to own. But like I say, I'm still not convinced that he's going to be tearing it up like he has done in the second and third tier. Yeah, I mean,
he's not going to get 30 goals. I mean, we have seen promoted strikers do well for fantasy teams in the past. I mean, Watkins, for example, Bamford last season. 2 examples of players that no one thought were going to get anywhere near the returns that they got. We had Pukki at the start of the season. We've had players like Andre Gray who have come up and done well. I always like a promoted striker. And I can't ever remember there being as much hype about one as there has been about Tony. And you're right to question him, Lynn, because his goal scoring record before Peterborough was pretty poor. I mean, he played for, like Ben mentioned, he's played for loads of clubs. He got 4 goals in 24 for Wigan, 6 in 15 for Scunthorpe, 6 in 19 for Shrewsbury, failed to score for Barnsley, no goals in 2 for Newcastle. But he was young, right? He was 18, 19 at the time. So he's 25 now. So he's now kind of entering into his prime years. He's now got this chance at Brentford where everything's going to go. The whole team is set up for Tony. That's what I like about him. You talk about talisman, you talk about a player for a club who's going to be central to absolutely everything that Brentford do, and it's him. And I think it's going to take teams a little bit of a while to work out how Brentford play and how to stop the supply getting to Tony. And he's that kind of player who can just ghost past players and get on the end of balls, and they know how to get the ball to him. So I think, I agree with Ben, for 5 or 6 weeks, I think Brentford are going to be riding the wave. They're going to carry on doing what they're doing. And I think Tony's a good pick. But I do worry about Brentford in general when teams learn, stop the supply to Tony, stop Brentford scoring goals. They're going to have a plan B, I think. And I just wonder if they're going to be able to do that. He's in my team for the start for sure. That's it. I think that's it for now. Captains, we can touch on captains quickly. We haven't really talked about those. Pretty quick, right? All Salah?
Or Bruno, that would be my only other. But at the minute, the armband is on Salah for me.
Yeah, I mean, even differential Dinnery is finding it hard to look past Salah captain, which I think kind of...
Or Woodman.
Or Woodman. Yeah, I like that as well. Premiums to avoid. Yeah, so just one final question. We're all agreed on our premiums at the moment, with the exception of Ben and Lukaku. I guess Harry Kane is the one that we kind of need to discuss just before we finish this episode. Lynn, Harry Kane, let's say tomorrow it's announced he's signing for Man City, £150 million, and Pep says he'll be ready for Spurs game week 1. It's not going to happen, let's be honest. But would it change your mind on Kane? Are you going to be getting him in when he signs, if he signs?
Yeah, I can't say no. That would be a lie. I would get him straight in. I would tear my team up and I would get him in.
So who'd be the sacrifice then? Fernandes?
Bruno.
Yeah. Ben?
I've been contemplating Bruno or not, so yeah.
Ben, Fernandes to Kane?
Oh, I'm not sure about Fernandes. You know what? I might just keep all the premiums and just downgrade everyone else. me Benteke to some cannon fodder. Me Jimenez to somebody.
You need Benteke to afford Kane. He's your cash cow.
He's gonna. It's only. I'll just wild card and I'll see. But I do. You know what? His ownership is going to go through the roof, and it's one of those ones where we talk about if he bangs, so what? Everybody else goes with you. So it may be one of those where you just take a punt and you just think, you know what, I'm going to go against the wave just because. But, you know, that is a huge call because Harry Kane and that team is
It's a huge call, isn't it? Because it's the best striker in the league playing for the most attacking team in the league. And it kind of just seems to me that he is the one that when he's fit and settled in the team, he's the one that we're all going to have. And I think it could even be Salah that could end up being a lot of people's trades for Kane. I know, unthinkable, right, Lynn? Absolutely unthinkable. But I'm just worried that this is going to be the Man City Chelsea clash this season. I don't think Liverpool haven't strengthened enough in the transfer window. They've lost Wijnaldum. Robertson's now out. Do you think Liverpool can challenge this year, Lynn? With the signing City and Chelsea have made?
Yeah, definitely.
Are you not? But you're a little bit biased.
I'm very biased. But we've got players like Keita. He never really got a chance. He got injured. He's been working with the team. He's starting to look pretty good. We got Minamino, also someone we had to work with. If you look at Klopp, he likes to train his players for quite some time before he actually plays them. So I think we could actually have options no one's really looked into. And Harvey Elliott, the wonder kid, could also be a good option.
Again, it's trusting kind of sort of relatively unproven players to mount a title challenge for
But they're
Liverpool,
not unproven players. They're maybe a bit unproven in Premier League, but they're not unproven. They're
Harvey Elliott is. Minamino is.
He's a kid.
Minamino had an unsuccessful loan spell at Southampton, I'd say. I'm not sure that warrants him being a kind of a... I don't know. I just worry about the depth that Liverpool have got. I just think, an injury to Salah or Mane or someone and who comes in. I really expect them to sign, another attacking player. African Cup of Nations is coming. Salah and Mane are both going to go off to that. There's no reinforcements. I just...
They are working on it, but they're still not quite there. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Barring injuries, I think we could have a good chance. Top 2, I would say.
Yeah, I'm a bit more sceptical. I think it's going to be one of City or Chelsea. Ben, what do you reckon? Do you reckon Liverpool going to be up there?
I expect Liverpool to bounce back. I expect them to have a good season, better than last season, without a shadow of a doubt.
Title challenges?
That's a big call.
It is.
Looking at City, I think it's City. It's City's to lose.
But that is where Liverpool's at now, right? If they're not competing for the title, the season's a failure. Sure. But look, they can't be content with third or fourth now. They've set the bar too high in previous seasons to be happy with that.
You know what? I think on the day they're able to raise the game and compete with anybody in that league. Consistency may be the factor, and like you say, the depth of the squad to key players. I mean, everybody talked about Van Dijk, the loss of Van Dijk, Gomez, the defence, and the loss of Fabinho and Henderson in that midfield when they dropped. But what a lot of people do seem to talk about is the conversion rate of the strikers. And when you look at Firmino, Salah, Mane, were converting at a far lower percentage than they had through that championship winning season. I mean, massively. I think, less than half. So you wouldn't expect those players of that quality to continue on that trajectory. They were expecting them to come back. But nobody's mentioned United either. And for me, we've got Varane who's come in, massive, I think, boost for that back line. And then also Sancho coming in there. Keep a hold of Pogba, and I expect United to
and we're expecting a formation change to United, going to a 4-3-3, not playing with the two kind of holding midfielders anymore. Fred and McTominay, probably just one of those, allowing Pogba and Fernandes to bomb forward a bit more, unless Pogba does go to PSG, which I still think is an option. I mean, Lynn, I'm impressed with your optimism for Liverpool, but I just think the three main rivals have strengthened enormously, and if anything, I think Liverpool they're getting Van Dijk back, which is massive and kind of can't be underestimated, but with the losses of Salah and Mane for the AFCON and Wijnaldum leaving, I'm concerned. You're not concerned?
Yeah, I think we'll see a few transfers before this window closes. I'm pretty sure we will.
Jared Bowen's been linked. I wonder if he's going to sign from West Ham. I mean, they're going to have to pay probably about 40-50 million for him if they wanted to sign him, because West Ham aren't going to want to get rid of him. But
Watkins has been mentioned as well.
Yeah. I mean, how much are they pay for him? I mean, Villa paid 35 million for him last season. They probably have to pay about 60 million for him. It's crazy money in football. Crazy money in football these days. Right, so that's it for this show. Lynn, you mentioned earlier we're giving away free tickets for the game, for FanTeam. So we're running a competition. This is the final one, final show, final competition. All you've got to do is answer Lynn's trivia question correctly. Write your answer in the comment section with your FanTeam ID. We will select one right answer at random and give you free entry to the game. Lynn, what have we got today?
So, on the topic of new signings, we want to know who was the highest scoring transferred player on FanTeam last season. Would you like a clue?
I'd love a clue.
He moved from one Premier League team to another.
That's the worst clue I've ever heard.
Yeah, I know. Does not help in any way. I have no idea. Ben?
Pass.
Yeah. Lynn, any idea?
No.
No. Tough one for the final one. Interesting question. So if you know the answer, put your answer in the comments and with your FanTeam ID, and we'll pick one at random. None of us know, so if you know it, then well done. You've beaten the three experts as we're being billed, which is quite the claim, I think, for us three. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. This has been FanTeam Daily by WhoScored. Make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you can check out every episode of this 5-part series on Who Scored official YouTube channel. Head of the Premier League season, not long to go now, to do that quickly. And don't forget to submit your teams in time to win big £200,000 first place prize, £1 million cash prizes in total. Amazing. Lynn, Ben, I hope one of us wins it. But thank you both so much for joining me over these 5 episodes, and I will speak to you soon.
Always a pleasure. Thanks, guys, and thanks to everybody for watching.
Yeah, thank you. Good luck.
You're watching FanTeam Daily, a podcast by WhoScored.com.